Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto, and today guys we are taking a cheeky look at Vechain and giving you our 5 reasons why we are so bullish on this project. Chris, anything you want to add at this point?
No, just that for anybody that's not aware, this is my biggest investment in the space, and obviously none of this is financial advice. But you're going to find out the 5 main reasons why I have mainly invested in Vechain so massively.
Absolutely,
Stay tuned.
it's a fantastic project, isn't it, Chris? With so much potential, and these are the 5 key reasons, not the only reasons that we are so heavily invested in Vechain, but 5 main reasons I think you should be really paying attention to. So if you find this useful and informative, do go ahead and smash that like button for Chris. He really appreciates it, as do I. And if you're new to the channel, do go ahead and subscribe. By being subscribed, you will be kept up to date with all the videos and live streams that we do here on the Cheeky Crypto channel. Right, let's jump on over and check out point number 1, Chris.
Yeah, let's do it, Nick.
Okay, so the very first reason that we are so positive and bullish on Vechain is all about the use case for the blockchain, right? So for those who do not know, Vechain kind of is a traceability supply chain solution. So the Vechain is a blockchain platform designed to enhance supply chain management and businesses' processes, right? So its goal is to streamline these processes and information flows for the complex supply chain through the use of a distributed ledger, or a DLT, right? So the Vechain platform has 2 tokens, a Vechain token, which is the VET token, the VET ticker, and then there's the Vechain 4 energy token, or the VTHO ticker, right? So there's a dual token system, which is absolutely fantastic, and we'll get more into that later on. So what are the key things to just understand here is that Vechain is a blockchain platform for business processes, such as supply chain and product life cycle management that aims to provide a 360-degree view of the organization by dismantling information from data silos. In the future, if it plans basically to become a platform for ICOs and for conducting transactions between Internet of Things devices, so the IoT devices. And Vechain has those 2 tokens we spoke about as well. It's the VET token and the V4 token. Okay, and the former is used to carry value from smart contracts on its blockchain, while the latter is the underlying energy or gas that is powering those transactions, right? So you have a token that you can use and stake, and then you have the energy token, so a 2-system approach here. So if we get into the use cases, Chris, obviously we've spoken very briefly about supply chain being one of the key things that they do there, but there are a load of other benefits to Vechain. Some of them, if we hop over to some of these other articles here, Chris, is how the Italian police here seized 4,000 bottles of counterfeit wine, right? Now, I'm not going to read the article. This is just an illustration of what Vechain aims to kind of eradicate, and that is the war against counterfeiting. So when you have something that is of a limited supply, you want to ideally put all of that information into a blockchain so you can verify the authenticity of a particular product, right? So there are some examples flying around with Vechain right now where this is exactly the case of what is happening. Wine is being put on the blockchain and is being pushed through, and so you can guarantee that you can check the authenticity of those bottles of wines once you've received them, right? So it's very important that we have that, and there's lots of luxury brands also doing it, something very similar. So that's just an example of wine, but they've had many different issues here where we talk about millions of fake food and drink, right, from a global perspective. So there's lots going on in the world around counterfeiting, and Vechain is perfectly positioned to basically eradicate counterfeiting, specifically around luxury products. Wine's an example of that, but you can have things like Louis Vuitton, for example, and luxury brands, and we've even seen I think some rappers who are using the Vechain 4 blockchain to basically verify their merchandise as well. So there's lots going on in this space just around around counterfeiting, around authenticity, and around supply chain. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say, like with the food traceability and preventing counterfeiting there, there's that safety aspect, which I think's like really huge, which is why we've sort of identified the wine and the food in particular, because people die from drinking counterfeit vodka and wines and all that sort of stuff because of the way that it's made. So huge need for something like this. And yeah, again, another reason why we're so big into Vechain, because it's going to do good across the globe, I feel. Obviously the focus is mainly in China at the moment, but it will be worldwide, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've already had that partnership recently as well over in America with the seafood. So it's going to scale quite nicely. It's heavily concentrated around kind of Singapore, China, Japan, that area currently, but it is expanding nicely. And on that note as well, Chris, I guess we also want to talk about some other things that are happening with the Vechain for blockchain, and that is around NFT technology as well. There's lots of I guess a big push from the Vechain team to kind of pull over those NFT projects and have them built on the Vechain for blockchain. And there's lots of potential when you have those basically NFT tokens basically created. There's lots of different things that you can utilize them for, and Vechain notices that and definitely want to be having that kind of technology built upon their blockchain. With that aside, NFTs are one thing. You obviously have authenticity and supply chain. They can go one step further. They've been speaking about tokenization. They've been looking at potentially tokenizing things like real estate, tokenizing art, etc. Lots of conversations, nothing confirmed yet around those kind of things as well. And then the last one, I guess relatively recently, Sunny Liu at Vechain was also talking about the entertainment industry and trying to dabble in a bit of that as well. So there's lots going on with Vechain that goes beyond just supply chain where it started. So very, very important to understand the use cases of this particular blockchain are vast. Chris, anything you want to add on the use cases before we hop over to point number 2?
No, just the automotive industry as well is another industry they're trying to conquer, aren't they, with the likes of BMW and Renault, and being able to sort of track car parts and history, I guess, is another one, which again is key because again, it can be edited, can't it, currently?
Yeah, so that gets us into point number 2 quite nicely, which is all about the partnerships. So here's a list of partnerships. Obviously, this is a list of 39 currently, but well, at the point of writing, it has expanded since. And some of the main ones to really point out here is obviously DNVGL, which is absolutely a massive partnership that Vechain have, and they do lots of integrations with the Chinese government and DNVGL. So lots going on in that space. So very important to understand what's going on there. The other big powerhouse here is PwC. Okay, I mean that's a $37.7 billion revenue. Okay, they employ nearly 250,000 people as well. So from a partnership level, PwC are absolutely massive, right? As is DNVGL. So we'll move down this list as well. You have the NRCC. We have lots of Chinese kind of, I guess, partnerships as well here. We also have a bit Ocean, China national level partnership. If we keep going down, there's a few interesting ones that we want to get to. It's huge players, right? Another massive player here, $22.8 billion revenue. It's this transport and logistics company who's truly worldwide as well. Okay, so big players. And obviously, as Chris was speaking about, BMW's on this list. Okay, so they're able to track all the parts, the mileage, everything about a BMW. And for those who do not know, BMW is probably one of the highest risk vehicles in the world from a theft point of view. So having it in the blockchain makes that stuff harder for people to basically break those BMWs down and sell those parts on a second-hand black market, for example. So by having everything in the blockchain, BMW is now able to track every single component within one of their cars, along with all of the service history, mileage, everything. So the second-hand car market is so much more cleaner for people like BMW. Obviously, beyond there, we also have Renault as well. And I imagine the automotive industry is going to grow massively with these use cases that BMW and Renault are going to start showing when it comes to blockchain. So LVMH, another absolutely behemoth of a company here, $48.6 billion revenue, employ 120,000 people. It's luxury consumer goods, okay? And these guys are absolutely massive. Louis Vuitton, for example, loads of stuff, right? So Dior's in there, Louis Vuitton, as I just said, Marc Jacobs, Tag, etc., right? So huge partnership with Vechain. Obviously, Sunny Liu, CEO of Vechain, was the previous chief information officer at Louis Vuitton. Okay, so you can see it was an obvious partnership that was going to happen with LVMH, an absolutely massive partnership of that. Renault, obviously, in a similar world to BMW here, they're a $67 billion company here. They're truly worldwide, and they will be able to use this for their parts, their components, their mileage, their history, all of that good stuff as well. And there isn't a lot more to really go through this list on. Obviously, you can pick out loads of these guys, and I think the next one that I really wanted to kind of pick out on was definitely Walmart China, right? So Walmart China is absolutely massive, and they have some really fantastic use cases with Vechain, from basically field to fork scenario. They have full traceability of all the crops that are grown, etc. And yeah, the experiments that were used at Walmart were basically then benchmarked again and as a use case and as a business case for how to potentially do this on a much bigger scale. So I think the partnership in the news, I guess, with the China food organization, I forget, is it CAFA or something like that?
Yeah.
They were talking about what they did with Walmart China and how that could potentially expand further on. So absolutely massive stuff, Chris. And obviously, I won't get into more. You have H&M on there, 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 as well. Huge list of partnerships that's ever growing, and it's really positive to see. Chris, is there anything else you want to talk about partnerships before we move on to the third point?
Just going back to Walmart China, their work with Walmart, that's not inclusive of all of the products, right? This is just a select few products, and if you look, they burn the majority of the V4, so you can imagine how much more valuable V4 is going to become alongside Vechain vet token. It's going to be huge as they sort of widen the product selection, and then the store numbers as well. When they edge out of China and perhaps other parts of the world, I think people are really het up on the price action or the lack of price appreciation. But you need to understand that this is a process, right? It's going to take some time, but that price appreciation, I feel, is definitely going to come.
Absolutely. Right, so let's move on to the third point, Chris, which is all about their news, right? So here is the news section of the Vechain website. And the reason that I pulled this up as a third point, it says always good news coming out of Vechain. Some of these, just to talk about what's happened in 2020 around Foodgate. This is the partnership between France and China and how they are utilizing Vechain's blockchain to help with that. I won't go into that article, but anyone wants to look it up, just literally Google Vechain Foodgate and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And obviously they're doing a lot around this whole pandemic as well, and lots of news around how they are using the blockchain technology to try to control the spread of the virus, right? So lots going on with China, with DNVGL, with the Chinese government and the Vechain 4 blockchain, all around just the virus, the hotel hospitality and all that kind of good stuff. So really good stuff coming from the news. Now, obviously this is a vast list, and the reason I brought this up on the screen here is to get you an idea, give you a bit of an idea of just how frequently they are on their news stuff or sites, right? So 23rd of December, 16th of December, the 4th of December, the 2nd of December, right? These are all very consistent. They are basically sending and writing consistently month after month after month. And there's lots of new partnerships, new things that they're doing, talking about, updates and protocols and things like that they're doing on the blockchain. Absolutely fantastic. So guys, I do kind of recommend, going over to the Vechain so vechain.org/news, checking out their news, keeping up to date with it. It's absolutely a fantastic resource to know everything that is going on. And yeah, it was the seafood importer platform known as, platform, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏. That was the American one as well. So loads of stuff going on with the Vechain news. Chris, is there anything that you really wanted to just pull out and talk about specifically on the news aspect?
One thing that stands out for me, I guess it's under news, but could also be under team, is just how quick they managed to roll out their I guess, blockchain work with Walmart China. It was supposed to take months, wasn't it? I can't remember. Was it 4 months? I could be wrong. Or
It
they did it
it
in
was
4 months.
something. It was supposed to be like 3 to 4 months. It was the expectation, I guess. And this is the thing, right? It was don't overpromise and underdeliver, right? It was
Yeah.
very much the opposite of that. I think Walmart China were expecting a 3-month integration period, and actually Vechain nailed it in 4 weeks using the Vechain 4 toolchain, right, or the Vechain toolchain, which is basically an easy to use set of tools that are designed for onboarding new clients, etc. So using that toolchain, it was absolutely fantastic. They were able to accelerate the development and deployment with Walmart China, and that's why it's being used as a scenario as, I guess, how to move things further forward with other people using Walmart China as the example. Okay, so yeah, fantastic. Should we move on to point 4, Chris?
Just before we do,
Yeah.
the other thing that was in the news recently was that they're the first 5-star blockchain. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit through that.
Yeah, so they got the 5-star rating from 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, which is absolutely, amazing. It's fantastic. They're first in the world to be a 5-star rated blockchain service provider from 𝗕𝗪𝗪, right? And to get that into concept with you guys, it is the highest standard in Germany, right? So you can't do anything in Germany without going through some kind of certification process with 𝗕𝗪𝗪, right? So check that out as well. Well worth understanding it. In fact, I think it's this first one right here, right, on the vechain.org/news. Basically, the first 5-star rated blockchain service provider in the world, certified by 𝗕𝗪𝗪 Saarland, right? So this is a renowned institution accredited by national governments. Absolutely massive, first in the world, and this will set them apart when it comes to mainstream adoption. Vechain now will be the European aspect, anyway, at least, the kind of the one to go to in order to kind of get those blockchain stuff and developments in progress. So absolutely fantastic, right? But let's move on to point 4, Chris, which talks about V4 stats, right? Which is this one here. So when it comes to this, there's a dual token system, as I spoke about in point 1, right? There's obviously the VET token, which is used for many different purposes. It could be smart contracts, it could be whatever, right? But the idea of that VET token is, you stake it, and when you stake that token, you're earning V4 as a reward, right? And that V4 is your gas, right? And that gas, in a similar way to Ethereum would work, you'd have to pay a gas fee, but with Ethereum, you're paying that gas with ETH, right? But in VeChain's this dual token system, you have the VET token, which there are a total supply of 86 billion. And then you have a V4 token, right? And the V4 token you just use to basically, confirm transactions and create those blocks that you need to on the network. So what this means from a long-term perspective here is ultimately large organizations. Let's take BMW, Renault, LM, or Walmart China, H&M, whoever it is, right? They're going to buy up huge numbers of the VET token, stake them, in staking them, potentially even running a node, earn V4 rewards. Obviously, there's different levels of rewards you earn depending on what type of nodes you have. And I won't get into the detail of that, but basically, top-end rewards come in when you stake 15.6 million VET tokens, which is it seems like a lot to regular people like ourselves, but to an organization like Walmart China, H&M, BMW, Renault, it's like, yeah, okay, fine, but we've got 30 million, so we'll just stake 30 million, right? That would be pretty much how they'll work. In doing that, they'll then pretty much earn enough of V4, and it'll be a calculation that I just need to figure out, because V4 is calculated, I think, at 1.5 V4 per day per X amount of VET tokens, right? So it's an easy math scenario. Just figure out how much VET you need to stake in order to earn enough V4 to be able to, facilitate your requirements on the blockchain. In doing that, though, if we fast forward a few years, Vechain's onboarded enough tokens, then there's going to be a limited circulating supply of VET in the end, right? Which will then mean that there'll be more demand for potentially the circulating supply, and we all know what that means when it comes to supply and demand. The same thing can be said when that happens for the V4 as well. So if you've been staking the VET token for a while, then you're going to be earning V4. And you could be selling that off and thinking it's a passive income, or holding that and accruing it over a period of time. Because I feel that when VET's circulating supply drops down so low that the demand is and the price is pushed up, we'll end up in a scenario where V4 becomes more desirable to purchase than the VET token by smaller to medium-sized enterprises. And as a result, I think V4 price will also pump along the same lines as the VET token. And we'll get more into that in point 5. But ultimately, the idea of this dual token system really allows us to maximize the potential of the network. You don't have to worry about gas fees like you do on Ethereum's network. Ultimately, you'll need to just make sure you have enough V4 to facilitate those needs, and obviously you can acquire the V4 on the open market as well. In these stats, though, guys, and I'm going to just zoom in so you guys get a bit of a bigger view here. So we can see several different things. The number of accounts that there are, right? So there's basically only, and I say only because this is a really small number, really, 414,000 accounts, right? Authority nodes are 101. It's always 101. Economic nodes 2,914. X nodes are 3,964. Now we get into the circulating supply. There's 64.85 billion VET tokens in circulating supply, and the circulating supply of V4 is 31 billion. So when it comes to the market cap, we are talking about a $1.2 billion USD market cap, and we're talking about a $21 million market cap for V4, right? So those are the two tokens, just to bear those in mind. If we come down, we can see the burn rate on the V4, right? So V4, it's a token that burns, right? So there's always going to be lower amounts of them in circulating supply because they burn them when you complete those transactions, right? A portion of them gets burned. So the burn rate today is 4.3 million V4, and yesterday it was 12.8 million V4. Weekly, we're talking about a 48 million burn, with a total burn of 3.17 billion V4 tokens. So absolutely, good to keep an eye on these things if you're invested in the projects, because this gives you an indication just to how much the actual blockchain is being utilized. And if you wanted to, you obviously go down here and you can see all of the various different transactions, etc., that are happening, and you can go right the way through. We won't go into that, but we're going to kind of just keep it up to this particular point here. Chris, is there anything else you want to talk about this for this dual token system?
No, you nailed it.
Fantastic. Right, so then that gets us to the last point, guys, which is all about price appreciation. Right, so when it comes to price appreciation, everyone, this seems to be a hot topic, right? Everyone's like, oh, all this fantastic news, all these great partnerships, great tokenomics, and yet the price isn't moving. And why is that? That's what we hear quite frequently, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Now, as Chris was kind of alluding to earlier, it's a bit of a process that has to kind of fall in place. And once you have that structured out and everyone's kind of utilizing it and they understand how this works on a mass scale, that's when you're going to start seeing use case actually make a difference to price. Currently, unfortunately, price is mainly just driven from a bigger crypto macro trend rather than a specific blockchain fundamentals, right? And eventually that's going to flip. It's going to change. Ultimately, Bitcoin will not be the market leader in trends. So when Bitcoin, goes up a value, ultimately, give it a little while after a new high is set for Bitcoin, you're going to see a new high set for the altcoins. Okay, so that's normally how it works. And you can go through the history and you can see that time and time again, regardless of whether or not a blockchain has had fantastic fundamentals or fantastic news and partnerships. They rarely actually have an impact on price. That, however, will change once we have a more diverse and expanded ecosystem within the crypto sphere. And that's going to happen probably within the next 5 or so years. So unfortunately, you're not going to see huge price discovery without first seeing price discovery for Bitcoin. And the good news to that is we have just seen Bitcoin hit new all-time highs. We'll wait for a cooling off period. When that cooling off period happens for Bitcoin, that's when the altcoins will start moving forward. With all that said, though, we have seen an all-time high set for Vechain in 2020. I think that happened in August this year. That was 2.2 cents. And today we are at 1.9 cents. And we did a video a couple of weeks ago, or last week, I think, Chris, where we said there was a breakout for Vechain. Some comments on that video were talking about how is it a breakout? It's still under 2 cents. But what we mean by that is it actually broke through some of these major resistance lines in our charts. So this is the breakthrough that we're referring to right here. Okay, so this blue line that you see on the screen is a resistance line that was broken through. So with that breakout, we now see that we tested this area here, which was a high point on our fib extension level on the 25th of November, right? So we hit this gray line here at 1.8 cents. We tested this again recently, just down here in the last couple of days, and we confirmed that actually now that is acting as a bit of a support line, which is fantastic to see. So moving further forward, we're going to be looking at moving towards 2.1 cents, where we obviously have resistance again, and then 2.2, which is the all-time high level. Getting past that upper level there is going to give us an interesting level to then be looking for, which I believe will become 2.4 cents. And that's the first extension level on the fib retracement. So for many different reasons, we find that ultimately our Vechain and the VET token itself is undervalued because it doesn't really represent the fantastic level of adoption that Vechain already has out in the marketplace, out in the real world. It doesn't really represent the fantastic partnerships that Vechain have, and it doesn't really represent the, I guess, magnitude of which it is currently being used. That is why we think this is a fantastic buying option. This is why we are so heavily invested in Vechain, because at these prices, we can definitely go ahead and buy large sums of the VET token quite comfortably. And Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, this is still your largest investment.
It's my largest investment, yeah, and it's it's only getting larger.
Absolutely. And guys, just going back to our chart here as well, if I pull this down, what we can see is some of these other extension levels. We're talking about 3.4 cents, 4.3 cents, and 5 cents, right? Those are the fib extension levels based on this little level here, right? So ultimately, I'm pretty confident that we're going to start seeing significant numbers for Vechain in the future. In 2021, I think we'll probably surpass even 5 cents, right? Maybe pushing up towards the 10-cent level. But moving beyond 2021, start thinking 5 years from now, I think that Vechain is going to be significantly higher. It would not surprise me if it is well above $1 by 2025. Potentially, moving up towards even $10 or so. And the further that time progresses, and the longer that you're actually willing to hold this token for, I believe the value will only ever increase because it has a maximum supply of 86 billion. And ultimately, the more businesses, the more partnerships that Vechain has, the more the tokens will be staked. The lower the circulating supply will become, and the more value those tokens, those remaining circulating tokens, will have. So ultimately, I think it's really important to have a bigger macro picture of what Vechain is trying to achieve, what the future might look like for Vechain. And this, for me and Chris, means that at these particular prices, we are more than happy to continue purchasing and to, have open goal as well, Chris, of 1 million is our target, of VET tokens. That's what we're trying to achieve, and at these prices, that is very much achievable, at least for us. So, guys, actually, yes. Before I get into that, Chris, anything else you want to add on price at this point?
Just that we've got a high circulation of tokens currently. What is it, 60 something?
Yeah,
billion?
the circulating supply currently is 64.3 billion. Okay.
Yeah. So, that's kind of why the price is where it is, right? And there's only, what did you say, 86?
86.7 billion maximum supply, yeah.
So you're not going to get much more added to that, really, in the grand scheme of things. So we should start to see that price appreciate as more and more people are onboarded. And again, another reason why we're so bullish on it.
Absolutely. So guys, if you found this useful and informative, do go ahead and smash that like button for Chris. He really appreciates it, as do I. And as always, if you're new to the channel, do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with all the videos and live streams that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And with that said, we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Take care.